What's up, live? How's everybody doing? Y'all let me know as y'all come in if you can hear me and see me okay, and we'll go from there. Few things I want to talk about today. And I just didn't even really know what I wanted to call this video. So I said, you know what I'm gonna do is I'ma just come here, kick it with the gang, kick it with the family. You know I'm your favorite country cousin, and we just gonna see where the conversation takes us. So for a while, I felt like I could never have more than $3,000 at one time. I know that sounds crazy. I'm going somewhere with it. Just rock with me, family. Right? So for a while, I when I was younger, I felt like I could never have more than $100,000. I mean, more than $3,000 at a time. I felt like that if I ever got to $3,000, something would happen. Something with my car, something with my family, just something in my life would happen that would make it so that I had to spend the money. And guess what? As long as I believe that to be true, without fail, every time I got the $3,000 or a little bit above that, I realized that something would happen. I would need a set of tires on the car, or I would get this call, or this would happen, or that'll happen. And the reason why that's super powerful is because I want to start off before we get tactical, because we are going to get tactical this evening. Before we get tactical, though, I need you to know that don't no strategies work, no tactics work if you don't believe them. So if you're here trying to get your mind changed, then this is not going to change your mind at all. Right? I have no interest in making somebody that doesn't believe that this is possible and believing that it's possible, right? But for those of y'all that do want to know how it's tactically done, it's for you and it's for only you. So I want to talk about that straight off the gate so that way you guys can make an educated decisions. All right. Now put a one in the chat or a two in the chat. I'll tell you guys what do they mean in a minute. So hold off on that. All right. So to make this super practical, drop a one in the chat if we need to start the conversation off about talking about how to get more money. Drop a two in the chat if you're somebody that wants to know what to do with the money that you already have, or you already know how to get to the money. So who we got in the house tonight? Are there a lot of people here that need to know how to get to the money? Or are there a lot of people that's here that got the money or know how to get to the money? You already watched the gazillion hustle videos. You already hustling, making money. You just need to figure out a way to take the little money that you making and put it somewhere where it can really turn up for you. So, okay, I see a one, I see a two. All right, mixed crowd tonight. That's good. That's good. But am I talking to people that need to get to the money, or I'm talking to people that got to the money already? Now they focus is let's run a play. All right, where we at with it? Who in here tonight? Also, let me know where you guys are watching this from. Y'all know I'm your favorite country cousin from the Carolinas, JT. But where y'all tuning in from tonight? All right, talk to me, chat. So I know my camera's way up here. I don't know why I thought I was 9 feet tall. But my camera way up there, but I got my screen down here. So if I'm looking down, that's why I'm looking down, family, right? So I'm looking at you guys. All right, I see more people drop ones than twos. Here's what we'll do though. We'll talk about both. Let's talk to the people that need to make money first, and then we'll transition over to the people that got money to make sure that it's mutually beneficial for all parties involved. Now, if you don't have money, I gotta even segment you more into the group of people that don't have more money, but you got more time than money. And then talk to the people that say, I don't have much money, but I definitely ain't got no time or no desire to do something else. That's going to be another 20, 30, 40 hour a week hustle. If you're somebody that got more time than money and you trying to get to the money, then I 100% will have to recommend that we focus on. Hold on. Let me see what this says in the chat. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, all right, we'll touch on that in a second. All right, y'all know I'm easily distracted. So, if you got more time than money, what I would say is that focus on undervalued opportunities, how to spot them. We're talking about reselling here. Let's get granular with it. We're talking about reselling. Let's even give you a niche for anybody that doesn't know what I mean. Do you know that there's people making a full-time income because they go to Facebook Marketplace, they go to Craigslist, they go to the yard sale apps, and they go buy tools. They go buy DeWalt, Milwaukee, whatever, name brand tools. And before they buy the tools, they go to eBay, type in the name of the tool. If you don't know the name of the tool, you take an image of the tool, you do an image search, and then the image search will tell you what the proper name of the tool is. But you get the name of the tool, you put it into eBay, you look at the sold listings, you see how much it's selling for, right? What they're factoring in is there's going to be eBay fees, there's going to be shipping fees. If you're going to hit that promote button, you're going to pay probably as high as 12% in marketing that item as well. So they factoring all of that in, and they comparing it to the price they can get it at, and they negotiating the price where they can get it and sell it at a profit. So before they even buy the item, they have an estimated day that it's going to sell or time frame that it's going to sell, not necessarily a day, but they'll have an estimated time frame that it's going to sell, and they'll have an estimated price, and it's not guessing, right? So if I was somebody that's like, I'm trying to get to the money, and when I say I'm trying to get to the money, I got a little bit of money and more time than money, I'm going to go buy items and flip them on eBay. I'm buying them from Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, yard sales, thrift stores, whatever I got in my backyard. And then I'm putting it on the internet via eBay, because I say now, like, I made a lot of money in eBay back in the day, but eBay has changed. But I would say now eBay is better than Mercari. Mercari used to be a gold mine, but now I think it got bought by another company and it's not as lit as it used to be. Amazon is the elephant in the room, but to be real with you, if you trying to get to the money quickly, you already know Amazon not going to get you to the money quickly, because they got a big brand and they don't care about your situation. They going to preserve that Amazon name. So even if you do sell something quickly, they going to hold your money a little while to make sure that the customer is happy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but let's just call a spade a spade. That's why I'm not saying Amazon tonight for anybody that knows, all right? So I would look at what they call retail arbitrage. I would start off with tools. If you want to expand with some other niches, we're talking about cameras, and camera equipment as well. And we're talking about watches, right? So recently I was on Facebook Marketplace, saw a camera for sale for $900. I'm buying cameras for personal use for my media company, right? But then saw that same camera is selling all day long for $2,500 on eBay. Right now, you might not be into cameras and lights and mixers and blah blah blah. So I'm not trying to tell you to go out and buy every camera that you see. You could equally buy cameras that's worth nothing or not worth any more than what you paid for them. But the point that I'm making here is that there's opportunities available if you know what to look for. Right now, like I said, I had to segment you. If you have very little money, you got to leverage a whole lot of time. Now, let's say that you're trying to get to the money, but you got a little bit of money to work with, right? Because power tools, let's be real, you might buy a power tool for $80. You're going to sell it for $120 or something like that, right? Now, you might get something for $50, can sell it for $90 here and there. What's good about it, though, is that even though you're making little money, the volume, if you buy the right kind of tools the right way, you're going to be selling multiple tools every single day. So you making little money, and little money is okay if we making a whole lot of little money. So I'm cool with making $40 if I'm gonna make $40 50 times today. You feel me? Now if I'm gonna make $40 3 times today, then it's not worth my time. All right, but again, I'm talking about me personally. In your situation, you might say if I make $40 10 times today, then that's great. Like, I'm cool with it, all things being equal. So you know your life better than me, but that's the first strategy. Now, if you got a little money to work with, then I would definitely say we still should middleman things, but now you got the ability to be smart about it. I talked to a gentleman recently, and I'm actually going to have to talk to him again this Thursday, and it's his 3rd year in business. His 2nd year in business, which was last year, he crossed over 6 figures. Now he's well on track to net 6 figures. Because you know in a business you could make $150,000, but after taxes, expenses, blah, 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 you really made $65,000, $70,000, right? So he crossed over $100,000, gross income in his second year in business, which is amazing. But he's not netting $100,000 in his pocket after all expenses. So his third year in business, which is this year, his goal is to bring home after everything six figures to the crib, right? Which I think he's definitely on track to do it, and I'm helping him do this as well by leveraging AI, and we'll touch on AI as it makes sense later on in the conversation, right? But what he does in a nutshell, everybody here knows what the Thumbtack is. Thumbtack app is, right? Everybody here knows what the Thumbtack app is. All right. So Thumbtack app in a nutshell, all right, is a app you could download on your phone that will connect you with service-based business owners. Let's say, for example, you needed to put a smart lock on your door and you didn't know how to do it yourself, or you didn't want to do it, or you got a rental property and somebody put a hole in the wall and you don't know how to patch drywall, or you want something painted, or whatever it is. It's just a service that you need done that you don't want to do yourself, or you can't do yourself. You can go to Thumbtack. I use Thumbtack. I pay for Thumbtack, which you don't. Everybody doesn't have to pay for it, but I choose to pay for it to get the maximum amount of insurance. I think baked in the app is like $10,000 worth of insurance, meaning that if somebody comes in, they do some botch work, and the repairs under 10,000, I go through the insurance, get my money and get it fixed by somebody else. Or you could pay to have up to like $100,000 worth of insurance. So I use Thumbtack because as a real estate investor, instead of me paying somebody to be like a handyman on call 24/7 and I don't really have enough work for them, I'll just use the paid version of Thumbtack. I'll grab somebody from Thumbtack here and there. Like I had somebody, I don't know why they did it, but at my Airbnb, they punched a hole in the pantry door, right? So somebody came on Airbnb, and I don't know what the situation was. They punched a hole in the pantry door. I had to get a custom door cut, painted, and refitted for that as well, or at least just get it removed for the time being because I had somebody coming right after that, and still had to pay for the whole 9 yards with the door, right? Anyway, though, I went to Thumbtack to get that done quickly, and that's why I use it. However, this is what this gentleman uses it for. I just wanted to first make sure that everybody understands what the app is. You don't have to use this app, but I think it helps for you to understand the story. He runs ads on the app to get customers, right? And then he outsources the work. So imagine, if you will, I tell you that I use it to get handyman to help maintain my investment properties for real estate. Let's say that you were up there, you were running ads, right? This is for the people that's trying to get to the money, but you got a little money to be sauced up with, right? So you gonna run some ads, and let's say you spend $300 to get me as a client, and I say, okay, I need this, this, and this done, and you say, okay, for all of that, it's $8,500. I say, okay, cool, $8,500, I'll do it. You go find somebody else. Now, very well be somebody on the app that's not running ads or in your network or however you want to find the person. You go find somebody, but I think one of the easiest ways is to go on the same app we already on and just pick somebody with good reviews that's not running ads, right? And let's say you get them to agree to do it for $6,000, right? Same job, $6,000. All right, well, I already said I would pay $8,500. You take 6,000 out of that, you got 2,500. Well, you spent 300 in ads, so you really only took home $2,200 off of that gig. How much labor did you have to do though? None. So it's people that build entire businesses. That's not the only way to do it, but I'm just telling you guys a way to do it. Don't get hung up on that's the only way that it works. People do the same thing with Facebook ads. They call them meta ads now. TikTok ads, Google ads, SEO, whatever marketing mechanism you want to use. But I would say one simple way that I know for a fact people are killing it and are making money, crossing over six figures in their second year, going to probably net six figures in their third year. I would say within the next 10 years or less, probably be well over $1 million doing this. And now you got a service-based business where while a lot of people are intimidated about running ads, they not even keeping their ears to the street enough to know that these companies want more and more people to run ads, and the people that's running ads to make as much money as possible, so that way they keep running ads, so they making it easier and easier, right? So that's a little gem for you guys. So going all the days that you got to be a advertising expert to run ads for businesses, right? You can watch a couple free YouTube videos, learn how everything goes down, and then now you out to the races, right? So any questions before we transition over into what to do with the money, right? For those people out there that said, "Hey, I need to get to the money," right? If you good, write good in the chat. If you got questions, drop your questions down. If you good, write good in the chat. If you got questions, drop your questions down. All right. Like I said, man, a lot of crazy stuff is going on in this economy. Uh, we hear about this going on in the Middle East. We hear about stuff going on at the gas station, stuff going on in your personal life. Maybe you looking for a job. Maybe you got laid off. Maybe you think you're going to get laid off. So I really just want to come vibe with you. Let's talk turkey. Let's talk business. Let's get to the money together. All right. And I like to be able to just come have these conversations. Okay, this is the question I wanna jump on. All right, somebody said that's the difference. A few generations they drilled you can be whatever you want to be in us, not so much with the newbies. Okay, Gen Xers. So I think a Gen Xer is somewhere around their mid to late 40s now, all the way up into their early 50s. Um, One thing that we do in our company is we're just big nerds. The reason why we're big nerds is because of at the scale that we're at, it doesn't make sense for us to just have ideas and try ideas. So what we'll do is if we have an idea, we research it thoroughly, then we do a micro test on it. If it goes well, we scale it up from there. So we do a lot of research just like big nerds would do, and I take pride in being a big nerd. So the IRS and the Social Security Administration have put out multiple studies that say that if you're a Gen Xer, again, this is for anybody that's watching this, that let's say just for easy math, if you're between 44 and 55, right? This is for you, right? But it's also affects you if you're a millennial as well. So if you're the millennial generation or the one above it, this affects you. So the study came out and they said that they're anticipating there to be a huge economic crisis within the next 15 to 20 years, and it's going to be due to Gen Xers. That's around the time that they project that the average Gen Xer will be looking to retire in the next 15 to 20 or so years. So right now they're in their mid to late 40s to early 50s, right? Okay. Here's why there's going to be a problem. And again, I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have the article in front of me right now. But basically, they were raised by a generation of pension recipients that taught them to work as if they were going to be pension recipients, but then they put them out in a world that lacked pensions. Now, I know that there are a few institutions like the military and federal government and maybe some other companies out there that still do the pension system, but the vast majority of people, they don't have pensions. You got a 401k plan, right? Now, pensions rewarded your loyalty. You was with the company a long time. We gonna take care of you to the day that you die, whether you live 30, 40, 100 years after you dedicated your life to us, right? The 401k plan rewards your investment acumen. How well can you invest money and how much money can you invest, right? So, for example, let's say, just so everybody's on the same page here, let's say that my dad received a pension and he raised me, "Hey son, make good grades, go to a good school, make good grades in college, go get a job at a company, work at that company for 30 to 40 years, right? Or 20 years, whatever time frame, but 20 to 40 years, go work at that company, and then you can sit on the porch and wait on the mailman, right? You're going to get a check for the rest of your life, right? That was true for their generation and prior generations. But now you could go work for a company for 20, 30, 40 years, and then you still got to look at how much did you contribute to your 401k plan? Were you with the organization that did a match? If so, how much did they match? And then realistically, how much money can you withdraw from that account and not pretty much exhaust the account during your lifetime? So there's a lot of different formulas, a lot of different calculators. You can go check it out on your own after this video. But basically, here's the nut and potatoes. If you are Generation X, you're in your mid 40s to early 50s, and you have $288,000 saved up somewhere right now for retirement. It don't got to be in your shoebox. It don't got to be in between your mattress and box spring. But let's say you got it in your 401k plan, your IRA, whatever retirement vehicle you could tap into in the next 15 to 20 years whenever you want to retire, right? Social Security Administration, IRS says that if you have at least that much money set aside, then you can retire somewhere in your mid 70s or later, right? And I don't know why they got the gap, but then they had a big gap. If you have somewhere around, I think $820,000 or more right now, again, not in a shoebox, not between the mattress and box spring, but it could be in stocks, it could be in bonds, it could be in 401k plans, IRAs, and etc. Right? If you got that much money saved up, you could probably retire somewhere in your 60s. Right? Now, if you have less than $288,000 saved up in any retirement vehicle and you are already in your mid 40s to early 50s, the data projects that you will die working. I don't want to be morbid. I just want to be truthful, right? So the reason why they did this is because they're putting out the information and what they assume, but let's be real, good people, it don't work like this. What they assume is that we're going to put out this data, everybody's going to look at it, and they're going to say, oh, we're going to change our life. We're going to invest more. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. What's going to happen in real life, good people? Average person in their 40s, mid 40s to early 50s, even if they watching this to figure out a play to make more money. And the fact that they came across this information is just like a free bonus. But the vast majority of people in that age bracket, here's their situation. Man, I need the money now just to survive. Gas is crazy. They raising my mortgage every year. I thought I had a fixed income rate. Man, daycare is whooping my behind. Student loans, food, this, that. Everywhere you turn around, somebody needs some money or some more money from me, right? So those people are thinking, you know what? I know some money is coming out of my check for retirement, but I ain't even tripping about what that money is right now. I'm worried about surviving in the moment. And then when I get close to retirement, then I'll look up and say, okay, I'm going to retire in a few years, what the numbers look like. And a lot of those people are going to be in for a rude awakening. Some of those people are going to be depressed. Some of those people are going to be angry, right? Because they're going to say, okay, I've been working my entire life. Why I only got $200,000 in retirement? Now, $200,000 might seem like a lot of money, but if somebody said that you can't work anymore from now to the rest of your life and you have to live all this $200,000, realistically, unless you plan on dying soon, you ain't going to be able to make it, right? That's not a lot of money. All right, it's a lot of money if you're going to buy a watch or maybe a house or whatever, right? Something like that. But generally speaking, it's not a lifetime worth of money. Could we agree to that? All right. Am I telling anybody anything they did not know? If you fall into this category, right? So, and this springs from Miss Almighty's one statement, and I'm just doubling down on that. Now, for somebody that's a millennial, right? Somebody might be like, oh, suck to be Gen Xers. Y'all was born too late, right? So how does this impact millennials and other generations, right? Now, if you a boomer, you probably already retired, but not all of them are. But I was talking to a good friend of mine earlier, and he was saying this term. He says, man, I know that they're projecting this to be a problem in 15 to 20 years when that generation gets to retirement age. But what it's not talking about right now is that they clogging the door. I was like, what you mean by that phrase? What you mean by they clogging the door? He said, man, they clogging the door because there's a lot of older people now that are on a fixed income or know that they will go to a fixed income in retirement. So they say that I'm not gonna make enough money to retire. So what do? They stay at these jobs longer, and now there's not any opportunities for the millennial generation to go in and fill in these spots. Has anybody experienced in recent years that you got the college degree, you might even got a little experience, but getting a job ain't as easy as they promised it would be once you had that degree? Or maybe you don't have the degree and you don't have the experience, but you a hard worker and you feeling like, going to get a job is easier said than done. People will just say, hey man, go get you a job or go get you another job. And you're realizing that it's not a whole lot of organizations out there trying to beat down your door and get you to come to their organization. Right? So that's what he meant, and that's what now I'm going to use as a phrase for the duration of this conversation, at least, to mean clogging the door, right? So older people that can't retire, financially speaking, are being forced to work, all right, and at least till they figure out another alternative or they go on to the other side of heaven, right? So now it impacts the earning potential of millennials, right? How is that going to impact millennials long term? If you can't find a job that's paying you well because you're waiting on the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, the whoever else to get out the way to go retire, to open up those opportunities in your field that pay you the kind of money that you want to make. Now you're working and you're what we call underemployed. So yes, you're employed, but now you're not making that much money. You should be making 175 grand a year. You making 75 grand a year. Now you are still contributing to your 401k plan, but not at the scale that you should be. You look up and say, now I'm ready to retire. And guess what? You clog the door as well. Because you say, look, I couldn't have put no more money in than what I was putting in because I was trying to survive. Do we see how this snowballs? Right? Do we see how this snowballs and impacts other generations? Now, if you already retired and you already got plenty of money, you out the way, congratulations, you already won the game. But if you're somebody that's close to retirement age and you like, man, I'm going to have to come out of retirement, or I'm going to have to do something while I'm retired, or I'm not going to be retired, right? I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you're clogging the door, right? But I get it. You got to survive. So now Gen Xers can't move up. Millennials can't move up. Now all of these generations behind you are going to be underemployed, generally speaking. So they're going to contribute the most that they can, but then they can't do nothing but clog the door. Right? Cuz realistically, let's be real. What generation is going to say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get out the way and retire in poverty and struggle to the day that I die, even though I've been working since I was a teenager, all the way up until now, just so people that I never know and will never know can have a better retirement when they get to be my age. Pretty much nobody. If we calling a spade, right? So I'm somebody that's really big on this. Do not, I don't care what it is, do not bring up any problem without offering a solution. I don't even care if your solution isn't the solution that we go with. Just as well as you thought out the problem, bring me a well thought out solution, or else you're not helping the situation. So I'm going to turn this thing around and say, well, JT, you dropped this bomb on Gen Xers. You dropped this bomb on millennials and other generations, pretty much saying if you're not comfortably retired right now, you're never going to be comfortably retired if you stay in the current system. What's the alternative? In my humble opinion, it's entrepreneurship. In my humble opinion, one income stream is too close to zero income streams. That, yes, I'm also talking to you if you're a business owner as well, because as a business owner, one day you're going to want to retire too. So yeah, you might feel like I got more freedom, I'm making more money, life is better, blah, 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 blah. But Lord willing, you gonna get old too. And what does your retirement look like? Right? So doing something entrepreneurial, I believe, is the best option. Now, here's where people get lost in the sauce though. Okay, JT, entrepreneurship is broad, right? So I want to tell you guys the exact framework that I would do if I was in this situation. And not even being a hypocrite, I'm literally living it right now. All right. So, what do we do with the money? And I'm going to say this in order. In my order. You can remix it how you want, but I think the first one is pretty safe. Real estate. Especially if you're somebody that's not very entrepreneurial minded right now, you're new to it, you're inexperienced, maybe you're a little bit scared, right? If you go buy a piece of real estate and you got it appraised and you're paying a fair value for it, or you getting it below market value, right? Even if you buy and hold it, it's going to appreciate gradually over time. You can sell it, get your money back plus a little interest on top, and you live to fight another day. So I think that real estate is pretty safe, right? Now, if you got a little sauce, then you could get creative with it. But I would say that it's not even about getting super saucy. So if you just buy raw land, right? One of the things that I like is that if you could buy raw land and turn it into a paintball field, an airsoft field, right? And then also if you are a veteran like me and you got some partners that still in, all my partners got commissioned. And I was gonna get commissioned too if I re-enlisted, but of course I got out. But all of us started off as enlisted, and then if we stayed in, we're gonna go get our commission. So now my best friend is a major in the United States Army, and he just came out of command to go do some secret squirrel stuff somewhere in the world, right? But anyway, he had already let me know, look, um, we're gonna do drill. What is it? 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer, and we'll pay you X amount of money if we can go to your paintball field for the 2 weeks in the summer, right? Easy play, right? Easy play. Now, of course, not everybody is a veteran, not everybody know veterans, but raw land you could buy as is, you could sell as is, right? Or you could say, hey, look, it could be I'll let people bring out tables, y'all can do a yard sale. Or I'm gonna plant stuff on it, or I'm gonna do a farm, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna build a house on it. Your only limitation is your imagination, right? Your only limitation is your imagination. You can say I'm gonna buy some land, and it's gonna be the fairgrounds. I'm gonna pitch the fair, right? Hey, when the fair come into town, y'all set up on my land, and boom, this is the fairgrounds, right? Whatever it is, right? And the longer we sit here and brainstorm, the more it can be. But I don't care if it's raw land. I don't care if it's land with a house that needs some work. I don't care if it's land with a mobile home on it. I don't care if it's a land with a castle on it. I think that a safe place to start is real estate, right? Safe place to start for a newbie is real estate. All right. Now, after this is where it gets debatable. It depends on your personality type. If you are Gen X or older, right? Stocks. Stocks, right? The older you get, the more risk averse you get. So look at Dividend Aristocrats. Don't take my word for it after watching this video. Go type it in, do your own due diligence on it, right? So dollar cost average, which means that every time you get paid, you have a certain amount of money goes towards your dividend portfolio, spread out, accordingly. All right. And you just dollar cost average, right? This is not investment advice, but there's a great growth stock called VOO, VOO. Not telling you to buy it, just look it up for yourself, right? And Dividend Aristocrats, you could dollar cost average that. You could set it up where on this day every month it comes out of your account and goes over there. Or you can manually do it if you prefer to do it like that, right? Here's why I say if you pretty much mid 40s and older to do this is because let's be real. If you don't have a lot of money to put in it, it's not gonna be a lot of money coming back out of it. But your money gonna be safer in a dividend aristocrat or in a growth fund like VOO than in you trying to do the average business you hear about on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, wherever else you be listening to financial literacy content. Right? So if you got a little bit of money, you're gonna make a little bit of money, but your money's safe. Now, when I say little bit of money, I would say that if you're gonna be at realistically 6 to 7% annually. That means that if you put $100,000 in this year, you're gonna make $7,000 this year, and you could divide 7,000 by 12 months and see whatever the math that would be on how much money your money made per month. Right? I'm gonna just be real with you because you're gonna figure this out on your own anyway as you run the play. Right? Now, the reason somebody gonna say, well, why in the world would I spend $100,000 to make $7,000 over the entire year? Because great investments know they don't gotta be cheap. Just being real. The most safest places to put your money know that they don't have to be cheap. Now, sometimes there could be a market crash or a market correction, whatever you want to call it, and you can get real estate at a deal, get stocks at a deal. But generally speaking, great investments know they don't got to be cheap, right? That's just the real behind it. All right. So yeah, you spending a little money, you making a little money, but your money safe. If you're somebody that is younger, or if you somebody that is okay and understanding of the risk, I would definitely say cash flowing assets like a business. Cash flowing assets like a business, right? So literally where I'm sitting at now is my media house, right? Nobody stays here. I mean, when families in town, they stay here. But and you guys that have been watching me for a while, I done walked through this house a gazillion times and showed you this very small house, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. I think it's like 1,300 square feet is the whole house. So not a big house at all. But this is my main YouTube set. I got a podcast room that you might refer to as a dining room, but I turned the dining room area to a podcast set. I got a short form area where we do reels and TikToks and all of that stuff. You might refer to it as the living room, right? So I've just taken a house and created these areas in this house and operate out of it, right? This house, because of the business that I'm in, generates way more money as a media house than if I would have rented it out to anybody. I can even put it on an app called Peerspace and let other people use my equipment as well and create content and make money that way as well, right? But let's say that I wasn't in the media. I could put it on Airbnb or Verbo, VRBO or whatever you say. I call it Verbo, right? I could put it on Section 8. I could just lease it out to a family, right? There's so many ways I could make money off of it. All right. So real estate is something that's pretty safe. It still made the most millionaires in my opinion, right? So I think it's kind of hard to lose on that, right? Outside of that, I do have a small stock portfolio. Small is relatively speaking, but small stock portfolio that we're gonna be adding to aggressively as we get closer to our retirement age as well. But right now, incrementally adding a little money here, a little money there as well. Dollar cost averaging, like I explained to you guys earlier, right? So, and then beyond that is the things that you guys know about, right? So the software companies, the investing in other businesses, the restaurants, as well, the equity in the e-commerce brands, the this, the that, the maybe even the some stuff you guys don't know about, right? So the businesses that I run, the businesses that I invest in, those are by far the most riskiest things that I do. But the reason why we take those high levels of risk is because they also have the most upside, right? So in one of my businesses, that I'm a partner in this business as well, right? For every dollar we put into that business, right? For every dollar that we put into that business, $7 come out, right? It's a 6 week process, but if you knew for a fact however many dollars you could put in this business today, in 6 weeks you can get that much money back times seven. How much money would you put into the business? Now, of course, I've been in business since 2014. We've built the infrastructure. lost money, made money, and now got the business to where it is, right? If we were a brand new business owner, I could put $1 in and get zero out. So, of course, there's an inherent risk there, which is why we can get such high returns in a short window of time. I think the big mistake that a lot of people make is that they want the business that you could put $1 in and get $7 out, but they don't understand that this works in economies of scale, right? So I'm saying $1 in get $7 out because everybody can understand that. Literally, what's happening is we're putting $400,000 in, and then we're getting over $1 million back, right? So you do 4 times 7, and you can see the math, right? At the end of 6 weeks, right? The reason why that's important is because what I taught you guys earlier, great investments know they don't have to be cheap. If we put $1 in this thing, nothing would happen. If we put $100 in this thing, a little bit more would happen, but still nothing. You would still be upside down, right? Once you start putting $10,000 and greater in it, that's when it really start working for you. But $10,000, you might, for every dollar you put in, you get $1.80 back out. So the more you put in, the more the math works in your favor, right? Let's just be real though. How many people want to raise their hands tonight and invest $400,000 into a business? Average person, they're like, if I had $400,000 to invest into a business, I wouldn't even be listening to you right now, JT. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? And I feel you on that. But I share that with you, not bragging or boasting. I share that with you because you gonna watch somebody else YouTube video, somebody else TikTok, somebody else Instagram, which is fine. I love everybody that has a heart to help the people, but they just may not explain things to you in a practical way. That's why I always say I'm your favorite country cousin JT, and I'm the underground king of practical entrepreneurship. So I'm gonna be the one to tell you, hey, look, you wanna make crazy returns? You're going to take a high level of risk, meaning that you could lose all of your money. And the more money you want to make, the more money you're going to have to put in. Now, you can offset this through partnerships. Like I said, I'm a partner in it. So I don't got to pull up the whole 400,000, right? Now, that also don't mean that I could put in $1. All right. The most recent partnership that we're working on closing, minimum buy-in is $30,000, right? And that's per month. All right, to build up the business. Now, of course, we're talking at the scale now of building 7-figure companies. So let me reel this back in because I know it doesn't really apply to the average person listening to this. The biggest takeaway I want you to have is understanding that don't compare yourself to people on the internet because you don't know what their expenses are. You don't know where they getting the money from. Are they borrowing the money? Have they been in business a long time and saved up the money? Do they got a rich Uncle Scrooge McDuck that gives them the money, right? So maybe not every play you can run at this time, but you can still work your way up to it. Also, don't compare yourself either. So if you say, okay, well, my business is making $2,000 a month, and I see other people saying that they making $100,000 a month, I'm a bad business owner, right? Well, I can guarantee you that person that's making $100,000 a month has bills that's at least 10 times, if not greater, than your bills if you making $2,000 a month, right? So work your way up, be patient with yourself. A lot of you all that come to me or watch these videos, you brand new in business, and that's cool. So don't compare yourself to somebody that's been in business since 2014 like me, or somebody that's been in business for over 40 years like my mentor, somebody that's been in the business 35, almost 36 years like my other mentor. They had so much time, right? My mentors, and I love y'all if y'all watching this, my mentors so old, they made all the mistakes I'm making now before I was born. So by the time I even got to the point where I understand business and want to work with them, they seem like they experts. They seem like they know everything, right? They like, yeah, we did all of that stuff you doing now. We did that 40 years ago, JT. We in our 70s, 80s right now. So yeah, like we made them mistakes a long time ago. So of course, right, we can tell you how to dodge a bullet, right? Of course, we got millions of dollars put up, right? They didn't get it overnight. but they built it up over time, right? So let me see where we at in the chat. Let me make sure y'all with me. Somebody said, yes, sir. Hard to move to the top. No one retiring. They're also generations who 401k has been hit the most. Yep. Many houses on raw land. That's good. Right. I remember when you purchased that house. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Yep. All right. So here's what I want you all to know. And again, this is all my humble opinion, right? Anybody that doesn't admit that they have biases and they have opinions, then their bias is telling you the truth. Now, they might not have an opinion in every area, right? Certain things they might be like, straight up, I don't care about that. So I don't care if we go get ice cream or pizza, like just go somewhere, right? But if they act like they don't have any opinion about anything ever, then yeah, you should be a little leery of that person. All right, so this is my bias. This is my humble opinion. If I was going to tell somebody, okay, you want to start off in business because that's your personality type, right? Even though I told you real estate, stocks, then business, you like, look, JT, that's slow money. I'm Gen X. I'm behind. I don't even have the $288,000 the Social Security Administration or the IRS said I need to have right now just to be on track to retire in my mid 70s, right? Because if you have less than that, they're projecting you to never retire, right? You're going to work in some capacity to the day that you die. So if you like, hey, JT, either I'm in my 40s or older without $288,000 minimum, but really you need to be at that 820 grand in some kind of retirement vehicle or a plan to get it, right? Soon, according to them, right? So if you fall into that bucket, or if you say, hey, look, JT, I'm one of the people that's on the other side of the clogged door. I can't move up because companies not hiring, because they people not retiring, right? And the people are not retiring because the cost of living so crazy they can't survive without it. I would say one skill for you to focus on that will disproportionately set you up for the rest of your life is learning how to sell. Hear me out, right? Hear me out. I know a lot of people hate selling, but I think that what you really mean is that you hate convincing people to buy something that you don't really know if they want or need, so that way you get money. And by that definition, so do I, right? So again, if when you hear selling, you think that I gotta convince somebody to buy something and I don't know if they want or need it, but I want them to buy it so I can get money. If that's your definition of selling, I hate selling too, right? But let me tell you what my definition of selling is. And this is the best definition of selling I was ever taught. Selling is helping somebody get what they already want for their own reasons, right? I'm a country boy from the Carolinas. This I use this on my body from the top of my head to the sole of my feet, right? Aquaphor, right? And got put on this as a child, right? Vaseline, and then when you got bougie, you got Aquaphor, right? And y'all remember mama, grandmama, whoever used to grease you up, put you on the corner to catch the bus with the Vaseline or the Aquaphor, all right? So nobody has to convince me to buy Aquaphor. I got the big jug. I got the little jug somewhere. I got the Aquaphor chapstick. They're pretty much the only moisturizer I got. So if somebody was to go somewhere with me or come over and be like, you got some lotion or you got something, like, look, this all we got, baby. If you too good for Aquaphor, then you gotta stay ashy, right? So the manufacturer doesn't have to sell me on that. That's something I already want for my own reasons, right? Same thing with my iPhone here. All right. Nobody has to sell me on technology. All right. I understand because I ran businesses straight from my phone. Years ago, I ran an e-commerce business that made me $1,400 a week net profit after all expenses completely from a cell phone. Now, I know $1,400 a week is not going to make you rich. To some of y'all, you might say it's nothing to write home to mama about. But at that stage in my life, $1,400 a week was more than what my bills was. So to be able to run an entire business from my phone, right? allow me to be able to say, oh, look, man, I don't need a job. I'm free now, right? So because that's my reference point, because when I think of having the latest and greatest phone, I don't just think of, oh, that's $1,000 phone, or I don't know what this costs, whatever it was, right? I don't think that, oh, it was just $1,000 phone. I think that that's the ability to make enough income to pay all of my bills from anywhere in the world. Now, what value do I put on that? I put X amount of dollar value on that. What's the cost of the phone? The phone is $1,000, right? I'm gonna take that deal every time, right? Every time. If you value something here and the price is there, then it's no brainer. It's a no brainer to buy it. The problem is when it's like this. The value and the price thing is here. Now it's difficult. Or even worse, right? The price of the thing is up here and the value of the thing is to the floor, right? So what selling is helping somebody get what they already want for their own reasons, right? And once you start thinking about selling in that way, you're now just as helpful as a doctor, right? Is there anything to be ashamed of or anything to be like icky about if you were a doctor, right? You go to a doctor when you have a problem and they fix it, right? So sales is you helping people. Their problem is they want to get this, right? Or they want to get there and you help them get it. And I don't care if you sell hats, hoodies, Fitbits, phones, chicken plates, courses, ebooks, candles, you name it, right? You help somebody get something that they want, right? I'm a candle guy. I know y'all gonna bash me, fellas, right? I'm in the guns and I was in the Marines and all that tough guy stuff too, right? But I'm in the candles. Now, I'm at my media house for those of y'all that forgot. I don't live here, right? Gotta do that every time you get a candle. All right, so there's a lot of carpet here. And when I find me a studio, and then I move all of this camera equipment that you can't see into the studio, this is going to be another rental property in my portfolio. At that time, I'm probably going to rip up all of this carpet and put down LVP, right? In the meantime, it don't really bother me. And to be honest, carpet is good soundproofing. So because I do a lot of media here, what you guys can't see is that I got certain curtains and certain stuff that helps with the soundproofing throughout the house. So the carpet is an asset for now, but in a rental property, I don't think that I want to deal with carpet, right? I also keep my two babies here, which are South African bull bulls. All right, they're 200+ pound puppies, right? To me, all right. And even though I have dogs and I'm a dog person, I hate the smell of dogs. So anybody that's like that, you a dog person, but you hate the smell of dogs, you got to keep your dogs washed, well groomed, and you gotta, keep your carpet clean too, cause you don't want to get no fur stuck in there. So I got a cleaning lady that's coming frequently. Matter of fact, she'll be here this weekend. Vacuum, whole 9 yards, top to bottom, right? So all of that backstory for what reason? If you create a candle, right? I don't know why, but generally speaking, candles are deemed to be not great for dogs. Don't ask me why, but that's what all the dog people say, right? But if you are a candle company that says I specialize in dog friendly candles, do you have to convince me to buy your candles? I'm already a dog person, but I hate the smell of dogs. I don't want me to smell like a dog. I don't want none of my properties to smell like a dog. At my Airbnb, I don't even allow people to bring dogs, right? So just because I like dogs don't mean that I want to smell like a dog or have my property smell like a dog, right? So it's a no-brainer to sell me that candle. I think that candle is the price on it. Price not on it. I think it was $30 though. If I'm not mistaken, I think the candle was like $30, right? It's a no-brainer. I bought several of them. I bought One, two, three, four. I think I got like six of them. Right? It was a no brainer. So you need to learn sales because everything is sales. You sell yourself to your employer through your application responses, through your resume, right? You sell yourself to your employer. You sell yourself to your significant other, right? When y'all first met, y'all looked at each other. You looked a certain way to them. They looked a certain way to you. Y'all was willing to see where this thing leads, right? Now, if that person was smelling like they was freshly sprayed by a skunk, they was dirty from head to toe, hair looked like they was electrocuted, it probably wouldn't have went down the way that it went down, right? You might love them unconditionally now, but if your first impression was like that, probably would have never went down how it went down. So you sell yourself in interpersonal relationships. You sell yourself to your employer, right? Everything is already sales. You have to sell yourself to the mortgage company for them to give you a mortgage to buy your house. You got to sell yourself to the car dealership for them to finance your car, right? So if everything is sales anyway, the better you get at sales, that means that by necessity, by default, everything in your life gets better. Does that make sense? If everything is sales, right? If you get better at sales, everything in your life gets better, right? Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I did mention dog counters before. You right. Yep, yep. So keeping it going though. All right. So I want you all to understand that if there was one skill that I feel like, you know how people be like, drop me off butt naked in the middle of nowhere, which hopefully, I don't know why you always got to be butt naked, but that's how they say it. But we're going to remix it. Drop you off fully clothed anywhere in the world. Where could you survive? Right? Whether I took you to Europe, Africa, Mexico, Canada, anywhere but Antarctica, because you'll be a snowman in no time, right? But in any continent, where could I drop you off and say, okay, I'm confident that Keisha, that Nikki, that Jade, right, that Lyric, that Miss Almighty, that Keon, that Sandra, that Coach Boss, that Flag, right? I'm that DC. I'm confident that okay, because I know they have this skill, they'll be fine. Sales, right? Everything is sales. All right. So what I have down in the description below of this video is my sales made too simple framework. And what it is everything I've learned from 2014 to now that has allowed my businesses to get consistent sales. Right? Now let's be fully transparent about this thing. Do you have to stand on the shoulder of giants to be able to see the view better in order to get to your destination? No, of course not. Right? You can go wander through the woods and maybe you find it, maybe you don't. Maybe you find it in a little bit of time, maybe you find it in a lot of time, right? So I'm not here to make you feel like I'm the leader and you got to follow me to be successful. To be fully transparent, I just want to be the guide, right? You're going to have to do some work, right? That's the difference between a leader and a guide. A leader is just follow me and do what I say do without thinking, right? As a guide, I'm going to be there for you when you're overwhelmed. I'm going to show you what to do and where to go, right? But I'm not going to make you dependent on me. I want you to be independent in your business. And then if you want to work with me, you can. That's what Sales Made Too Simple is. Giving you the ability to stand on the shoulder of a giant that has already figured out sales, already lost more money than I recommend you ever even spending to try to figure out on sales, right? To the tune of just under $1 million. All right. And that being said, now you can know, hey, there's really only three ways to sell anything. Here's the three ways. Well, do you want to sell out consistently? of your physical products, of your digital products. How do you sell out of a digital product? Why should you even try to sell out of products? Right? What are the best strategies? How do you help people? Right? And how do you get support along the way if you need to work with somebody? All right. That's the opportunity that I have linked down in the description below. You guys can take advantage of the Sales Made Too Simple framework. Right? Let's tackle a couple of more questions though. How do you leverage sales prices against the competition? So we don't compete on price. No, let me read the whole question. For instance, they charge 10K for service. I could do it for less than half the price, right? So I highly recommend that you do not make your marketing message to be I'm cheaper than so and so, right? Typically that's a race to the bottom. Remember this, you can never be cheaper than the biggest person in the space, right? Here's why. We have examples that Walmart have intentionally lost money on certain products because they made so much money off their other SKUs or their other products just to be able to force a business out of business and then raise the prices back up and capture all of that new market share now that that competitor is no longer able to serve. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon wanted to buy the Pamper company. They didn't want to sell it or didn't want to sell it at the price Amazon wanted to buy it from. There was a point in time that Amazon was losing money every time somebody bought Pampers from Amazon, and they was getting them there super fast because when you need a Pamper, you need it now, not in 2 weeks, right? And they ran that Pamper company or that diaper company. Pamper is a brand name, so they ran that diaper company out of business, right? And then they took over the market share because they didn't want to do it. So if the biggest people in the space ever thought that you were a threat, they got hundreds of millions of dollars. Companies like Apple got over $1 billion, right? People like Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, they got crazy, insane amounts of money, liquid. And if they thought that you were a threat, they would just expand their moat and drop the prices, run you out of business, take all of your customers, right? So that being said, I don't see it advantageous for us to compete on price because if we ever got too big that the big kahunas wanted to take us out, they could always go lower than you, right? So I will focus on value. I will focus now if after I run my numbers, if I'm still cheaper than the competitor, that's a bonus, but that's not what I'm leading with. Right? That's not what I'm leading with. So I never try to compete on um I'm cheaper than if you go to this college or I'm cheaper than if you go to this mentor. Now you might notice that the prices are cheaper, but that is not my intention at all. Like it's a race to the bottom. Right? What if it's not a product, it's a service? Same rules apply. Right? And if you're in the service-based business, at some point in time you got to productize your service, and that could be as simple as hiring people to do the service and then their ability, their time becomes your product that you sell. Otherwise you'll never get an infinite return, right? The reason why we all need to eventually strive to be in the product business is because products give you an infinite return, right? Let's say that I was a landscaper, for example, and I was cutting grass. I'm limited by however many yards I can do in a day. And let's say I'm great at it and I can do 20 yards in a day, right? That's great. And I'm going to charge whatever, $100 a yard. All right, I'm going to make $2,000 a day landscaping. All right, as a one person operation. All right, well, I can still only do 20 yards a day. What happens if I hire five landscapers, right? And even if they can't do 20 yards a day because they're not as dedicated to the business as me, but they go do 15 yards a day. Now my productivity has went from 20 to 60, right? Another way to look at it is now my output has tripled, right? And now I'm not even doing any of the labor. So we definitely got to get to a point where we start productizing our business, even if we have a service-based business. Here's why a lot of people are afraid of that. They were never taught how to hire somebody in a way where they make enough money during the hiring process to pay that person for the first month. So that way, if the person doesn't work out in 2 weeks and you let them go, you still are in the green. If they don't work out after 30 days, you let them go, right? You say, hey, you're on a 30-day probation. We're going to see if you can do XYZ over the next 30 days or however long you want to give them, right? So that's what we teach in Sales Made Too Simple as well. How do you make enough money? And let's think about it. Most people on a job expect to get paid every 2 weeks. When do businesses get paid? The people that work at the business want to get paid every other week. When do businesses get paid? Somebody drop it in the chat. Let's make it even easier. If after watching this you say I want a late night snack, I'm gonna go to Waffle House, right? And you order what do Waffle House have? A All Star, right? You want an All Star meal or a Patty Melt meal or whatever meal at Waffle House, right? When do you have to pay Waffle House? Can you pay them in 2 weeks, right? When does Waffle House get paid, right? Now the person that's serving you, they might get a check in 2 weeks. But when do you pay Waffle House? Do you come in 2 weeks and pay for the All Star, pay for the patty melt, pay for the grits, eggs, sausage you got in 2 weeks, and then they say thank you, and then they pay the worker? When do you got to pay for it? Right? Oh, you guys are in trouble, family. All of those are the wrong answers. Last, nope. They get paid per word agreement when the money is there. Yeah, like y'all overthinking it. You gotta pay immediately. Like immediately. Yeah, you pay immediately. Yeah, like don't even make it harder than it gotta be. All right. So yeah. Now think about this. Let's tie it to your business now. Stay with me. Don't go too sexy on me and make it overcomplicated. If you hire somebody and they expect to get paid in 2 weeks, right? Which is normal, nothing bad about that. But your business gets paid immediately and you get paid multiple times a day, every single day, right? Now, that's one advantage you have of hiring somebody. Let's take a step back though. How many people have ever gotten a job and you had to take a test? You had to take a drug test, all right? Before you got hired. Maybe you had to take some sort of aptitude test. I was in the military. I had to take an ASVAB test, and then I had to take a personal fitness test, a PFT test or PT test, whatever you want to call it. Right. So there was a physical portion, there was a written portion. Also had to take a drug test, right? And they also pulled my driving record as well, right? So that being said, right, people are already understanding of the fact that you might have to take tests, right? So what if you as an employer, I'm not asking you to do anything sexy, I'm not asking you to do anything uncommon, but what if you had a hiring process that included a test? A reasonable test, of course, right? The test can't be come work for me for 40 hours this week and decide if I want to hire you or not. But what if there was a strategic way where you could provide tests that gave you feedback on the employee, and that feedback, right, allowed you to understand if this is the right candidate for you, and as a bonus, you also made money, right? Pop up test as well, right? Yep. Does that make sense? If you need an example, right, now is not the time to have pride. Say, I need an example, right? I want to make sure everybody gets it. What I definitely want you all to do, if you are a Gen Xer and you are in your, well, by necessity you'll have to be in your 40s, right? You in your 40s and 50s and you don't have at least $288,000 somewhere in an IRA and a 401k plan and some sort of retirement vehicle, right? Just calling a spade, you gotta start getting as many reps in as possible, right? We've all seen the movie where the hero at some point gets caught by the bad guy and they might lock them in a cell, lock them in a dungeon, have them chained up somewhere, and then by the end of the movie, the hero escapes and saves the day. Right? You're the hero of your story, but right now you are trapped. You're in the cell, you're in the dungeon, you're chained up, right? And if you don't figure out how to escape, things are going to get bad, right? Now, that's metaphorically speaking. What does it look like literally? If you don't have enough money put up for retirement, all the data says you're going to die working. Now, if you love what you do and you would do it for free and you want to die doing it, that's not a bad thing, but I would still tell you, why not die doing what you love because you want to die doing what you love, not because you have to die doing it. Is that all right? So it's cool if you doing what you love, you would do it for free, you don't mind doing it till you die, but at least give yourself a choice, right? Because once you have assets in place, once you know sales, you can go into any business you want to and leverage your skill, right? Or you could just go sell as an affiliate for other businesses. And it's people I know. Matter of fact, I made my first $400,000 check selling somebody else's product. I used that to buy a house, right? And to this day, well, I didn't spend the whole $400,000 on the house, but I live in the Carolinas. You can get property relatively cheap. I spent a little bit over half of that. I spent a little bit over half of that money to buy a house. That house today is worth $400,000, but I made enough money to buy that house selling somebody else's thing. So in sales, your life gets better because everything is sales. Your relationships are going to get better, right? Your relationship on your job is going to get better. Of course, the money that you make outside of your traditional employment is going to get better, right? But you can also sell other people's products. You can go train other people on how to sell, right? It's so many different ways that sales improves your quality of life, right? So if you are somebody out there that's like, look, I feel like the door is clogged. I'm not getting called back for jobs like I should. Right? I got the degree, I got the experience, I'm a hard worker, but people not calling like they should. You need to be in sales made too simple. Right? In the same token, you're somebody that's, hey, I'm in Gen X or older. I don't have $820,000 saved for retirement. That means that I'm not going to be able to retire in my 60s. Well, then the study jumps. I don't know why it jumped, but again, it jumps to, well, if you have at least $288,000 saved, you can just delay retirement by a decade and retire in your mid 70s. That's cool. How many people here know at least one person in their 40s or older that doesn't have $288,000 saved up for retirement? Right? And what does retirement look like for those people? Social Security, possibly disability, possibly you could live with your family, your friends. Maybe you could go to an assisted living facility or a nursing home, right? I don't mean this in a disrespectful way or in a morbid way, but I've already started telling my circle. Um, I think that we should look at either investing in or building an assisted living facility because there's going to be so many people that are going to feel like we're the people that cried wolf, or that the mainstream media is just trying to scare you into doing something. Ain't none of that stuff real. And then one day they're going to realize that not only can they not retire, but because the door was clogged for so long, they relatives, their kids, their sisters, their brothers, their whoever, they don't have the means to let them live with them either, because they in a studio apartment, they in a one-bedroom apartment, they staying with somebody, right? And now where do those people go? Heaven forbid they start having health problems, right? They're going to have to go to assisted living facilities and nursing homes, right? So now understand this, those are good investments anyway, but I was like, yo, you know what? My goal As far as commercial real estate, stopped at getting 3 daycare centers for my 8-year-old daughter, scaling them up so collectively they do 100K a month. And whenever she's mature, whether it's 38, 58, or 98, giving them all to her for her to take over, right? But now I'm like, look, I'm going to try to save as many people as I could possibly save. I'm going to come live. I'm going to keep dropping videos. I'm going to keep talking to the people. I'm going to help who I can help. I already know I can't help everybody. Some people going to never see this video, right? What you could do if you want to help the people that you love, share this video with anybody you think it can help. Share it on your Facebook, text it to them, whatever you got to do. Share this video with them, right? And tell them, hey, look, when you get some time, just listen to it. You ain't got to listen to it all the way through, but listen to it here, listen to it there. Hear him out. Tell me if he makes sense, right? Don't even try to sell them me, right? Just say, hey, look, tell me if anything this guy say make any sense at all, right? So if that's the case, right, and you want to see the people that you care about, family members and friends do well, hey, share this video with them. All right, share this video with them. All right. Unfortunately, though, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be in environments where they're going to end up in a nursing home. They're going to end up in assisted living facilities, right? Not saying that that's necessarily a bad place. There's a lot of great institutions. And if we invest in one, it's going to be a great institution. We're going to take the best care, right? If you retire at my assisted living facility or my nursing home, if I decide to get one, you gonna feel like you retired on vacation for the rest of your life. So we gonna do more than right by everybody, and I just believe in reaping what you sow. So just to be transparent with you, I'm gonna do right by you because I want people to do right by me, right? Nothing more, nothing less. All right. So man, just being real. If you feel like the door is clogged with employment, you need to be in sales made too simple. If you feel like already, maybe you didn't even know those numbers, but if you feel like, hey, look, the projections is saying I ain't gonna be able to retire, right? After watching this video, go log into your retirement accounts and then go find you a free calculator online and say, okay, if I keep investing like I'm investing, how much money should I have at retirement? And then put it in the calculator, right? It'll tell you, boom, you should have this much money in by retirement. Or you can ask Chat GPT if you want to go about it faster. But then say, okay, not just how much money I'm going to have based off financial literacy, the 4 to 6% rule, right? It used to be called the 6% rule. Now people say that because of how times have changed, it's the 4% rule. So I'm saying the 4 to 6% rule. They might call it something else. Basically, what the rule means is more important than what you call it. What percentage of the money should you live off of in retirement? Should you live off 4%, 6%, or some other percent of the money? Right? Adjusted for inflation, because some years inflation may be higher than others. Right? That's going to give you a realistic ballpark of how much money a year you got to live off of. Divide that by 12. That's how much money you got a month. Estimate if your house is paid off, if your car is paid off, right? What recurring bills would you have? And is that enough money? This is also assuming that you don't make one of the biggest mistakes that most elderly people make. They pay off their house, then they go get a reverse mortgage, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do, but in my humble opinion, that is one of the worst, right? One of the worst financial moves you can ever make, right? And then you pass on a headache to your next generation of kids. All right. Boom, boom, boom. See some great networking going on. All right. So yep. I don't see any more questions here. Um, Last but not least, let me leave you with, if you are somebody that watched the video this long and you like, hey JT, this, I just watch all of your videos, but this don't really apply to me. My financial situation is great. I'm on track to retire how I want to retire with the money, the lifestyle, everything. I got some assets, got some investments. What are you interested in as far as taking advantage of the economic times now if somebody already has the basics already covered, right? Um, I will create a custom GPT or better yet, a AI agent. You can use OpenClaw, but ChatGPT agent mode is good enough as well. Where um have it reference. I forget the name of the book. If I didn't want to call it, I will be able to call it. But just ask ChatGPT just to make it easier, right? What are the top books that help you determine how to calculate fair market value of stocks? It's gonna give you a whole list of books, and then feed those books right back into it because I can't think of the name of them. I'm having a brain fart now that just telling me that I should be asleep by now. But anyway, here's the point: custom GPT references that formula, and then have it also compare it to the current price of certain stocks. That's one thing that we're doing, which is why I feel crazy that I can't even tell you guys how we doing it, right? But I'll probably post a picture of the book in my Instagram stories. I don't think YouTube has a way, or I'm also on Twitch, Kick, Facebook as well, right? So I think I'm gonna just try to post it in my story when I get home and I can actually pull the book, right? Or one of the books that I think is good, right? So stay tuned to my stories if you want a picture of the book, right? Um, I would do that first. Generally speaking, a lot of stocks are moving in a negative direction. It may, not telling you that it is, may be a great opportunity if you have the proper AI agent to determine what's significantly undervalued, scoop up whatever you can scoop up now. Next 3 to 5 years, you're going to look like you were a genius investor. Really, you just had an AI agent tell you what to buy, and now you know your time horizon better than me. I would say definitely this is a play that's you got 3 to 5 years to not look at it. Only invest whatever amount of money you cool with not looking at for 3 to 5 years, right? At least that's the approach that we're doing with ours. Second to that, though, something that's a little bit more aggressive is we're doing an AI agent that hopefully we get the bugs out by this weekend, but I got some running around to do this week as well. um AI agent that makes social media content. Now I know what you're saying. Well, JT, that makes sense for you. You a media company. Why in the world should I use OpenClaw connected to ChatGPT, connected to Clean, FFmpeg, 11 Labs? I'm giving you the sauce. I don't know if you're ready to pick up what I'm putting down though, right? But why should I use that stack and create an AI agent that can make videos round the clock on autopilot for me? Right now, don't use OpenClaw on your primary device, right? Don't use any of that, right? A whole nother video explaining why. Do not use OpenClaw on your primary computer. I bought a dedicated Mac Mini. I created a new account on all of those platforms. It gets to play around with just that, nothing else, right? It is very dangerous, at least as of this recording, for you to have that on your personal device or your primary device, right? But anyway, AI agent make videos 24/7, and then we're able to get those videos. They can share it to us via the Google Drive, um, for us to be able to get access to that. All right. Imagine going into businesses that know that they should consistently be producing social media content for their car wash, for their car lot, for their real estate business, for their restaurant, for their clothing brand, for their candle making service, for the courses that they sell, for the book that they wrote, for the books that they're going to write, right? For all of these different businesses, but they have the same problem. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know how to make a good video. What if people say I'm fat? What if people say I'm skinny? What if people say I'm ugly? What if people say I'm cute? Right? All of these negative thoughts go in their head, right? So what you're selling when it comes to AI, when you sell AI solutions, the worst thing you could say is I sell AI solutions. Because don't nobody know what that is. So you go in there and you talk to them about the problem that you solve, right? I help busy business owners consistently create high quality social media content with no added hours of work to their day to help nurture their clients, bring in new clients, and generate sales. That's what you do. You don't tell them I'm go get a VPS or a Catabo server and I'm gonna connect all. They're like, we don't know Catabo, we don't know VPS, we don't know none of them people you talking about. We American, right? You speaking a whole nother language to them. All right. So speak their language. Talk to them about the problem that you solve. Nobody cares that you know all of these softwares, all of these companies, and how to put them together if they don't understand how it benefits them. But the opposite is true. If they know how it benefits them, they don't even care how it works. Just do it. All right. That's what we're doing internally for our company. And then we're going to roll it out to members of our Telegram community. And then, hey, no telling where we'll go from there, right? We're going to make decisions based off of the data from there. All right. Remember, I love you. Remember, God love you. If you keep God first, right, he'll take care of you in every aspect of your life. Also, what I'm going to add inside of Sales Made Too Simple is I'm going to add somewhere. I ain't even going to tell you where. I'm going to make sure you go through the training. I'm going to add somewhere in there where we can jump on a call together, me and my team, and actually see if you need any help on doing anything, or if you are a good fit to partner with us, if we're a good fit to partner with you, right? Because it's a two-way street. All right. I'm going to add that as well tonight, and then just go through the entire training because you never know where I'm going to put it at. But you're going to get a free call. We normally charge $2,500 for our 30-minute to 1 hour consultations, but I'm going to include that in it for absolutely free for the people that join tonight. Again, the link is underneath this video. Also, I intentionally want the last thing that I say tonight to be this. A lot of you all are impacted by rising fuel prices. There's an app out there called Upside that allows you to get cash back. You can also share it with your friends. They can get cash back and you'll get money for referring them. They don't lose any money by you referring them, right? Lots of times people don't want to use those links because they think that you getting rich. You're not gonna get rich off of it. Sorry to tell you, right? Might make a few $100, few $1,000. I highly doubt you're gonna get rich off of it, right? But the money that you make does not take away from the money that they make. They're still gonna make great money off of it. The link to that, if you want it, and it's not just gas, it's for restaurants, it's for snacks, it's for different stuff as well. Link for that is underneath this video. You go download that app. You can start using it when you get gas. You could text everybody in your contact list the app, and as they sign up and as they use it, you'll get money, they'll get money, everybody get money. All right, see you in the next one.